Hi, this is Granite, and you're listening to the Granite Mountain Movie Club. Thanks for tuning in. This is a show about pop culture, mostly movies, from, I would say, a non-mainstream point of view. Basically, what that means is we're just not libtards. I hope that clarifies it. And just a note about the conversation you're about to listen to. We had 5 or 6 major technical issues. So if the conversation seems a little off or all over the place, that's the explanation for that. And then in this episode, we're discussing The Truman Show from 1998. And I don't think we did the level of analysis for this one that we normally do on this podcast. The conversation went to some interesting places, and we had a lot of fun. But I'm not sure we gave the film a proper analysis, at least not to the extent that I think we usually do. So if you have listened to other episodes in the past, this might be a little different than what you're used to, but either way, I think it's still fun. And as always, please like, subscribe, comment, and share this with your friends if you know people who you think would be interested. That stuff was always very appreciated. So thanks, and please enjoy. Hello, everyone. This is the Granite Mountain Movie Club. We are joined today by a very special guest. Before I introduce him, I'll just say we got cool Frasier here with us.
I'm listening and I'm cool. That's all I want to say.
That's such a relief. There's in an ever-changing world, just to know that you're always there, listening and being cool.
Yep.
But our special guest today is Greg Smith of. Well, I don't know if you want me to say where you're from, but
you can go for it.
North Ogden, Utah.
No, I moved.
Yeah, no longer. Formerly of North Ogden.
Oh, where do you live now?
Pleasant View. It's much more pleasant.
Tell the good people at home about yourself, Greg.
Well, I'm Greg. I live in Pleasant View, Utah. I run a mobile bicycle repair shop. So if you need your bike repaired and you live in northern Utah, feel free to give me a call. I dabble in politics. I used to be very active on Twitter, one of the most active, but I'm not anymore. So you can just find me on my Instagram. But that's me.
All right. So and the reason Greg's here is because we're going to be talking about a special movie from. What year is this from, guys? 95? 98? No, it's 98, right?
Yeah, 98.
Yeah, from 1998. It's The Truman Show. And Greg is kind of like, I think Greg's life is kind of like Truman's life, right? Would you say that's fair, Greg?
I relate to it.
Tell us more about that.
So I saw it, I think in 99 when I was a kid. And I kind of had like a mental breakdown when I watched it because I realized I could also be a Truman and no one could disprove it to me. And so for like a year or two, it was always on my mind and I was always looking for cameras if there was like cameras watching me. And
did you ever find any?
No, I didn't. I didn't find cameras. But it was interesting. I was like 9-10 years old. And what's there's a philosophy called like solipsism. Is that the right word? It's like the idea that you're the only person that exists in the universe, and it's like a weird philosophy, and you can't no one could disprove it to you, but it's kind of like the belief. It's summarized by like the belief in something that's possible but not plausible.
Yeah, I see here it says the view or theory that the self is all that can be known to exist.
Yeah, so I think I was just kind of having my own solipsism crisis at a young age. But I got out of it, I think. But there's other things I relate to in the movie. But
do you like the movie, like other than it causing a existential crisis in your life? Do you actually enjoy it?
I enjoy it a lot, and I think I watched it twice in preparation for this little chat, and I I like it even more now because I feel like I got a better understanding of what the movie's about.
Cool, Frasier. Tell me about your first experience with the Truman Show. Did you see it back in the day?
Yeah. I saw it back in the day. Um, I feel like it was a big movie. Like I remember it being in the zeitgeist, in the culture,
Yeah.
and everyone was like, "Did you see Truman Show?" Um, but I also remember kind of just being meh on it. Although I did enjoy it. Like I was like, "Oh, that's a cool show." Because I was a budding uh cinephile,
A
as they
film
call
boy.
them.
We call them
Yeah,
film boys.
yeah, I was a film boy. And but I mean, it's a year before The Matrix, which kind of does the same thing but bigger and more sci-fi, right? And
Hmm.
then yeah, I don't know. I guess I kind of like let it fall by the wayside, but I do think it's probably like, even though it was big at the time, it probably is better than people act. But I did also watched it again in preparation. I watched it today, and it's all right.
It's. I mean, I think it had really immediate cultural currency. Like you could just say, um,
This is like Truman
within
Show.
within a few months of it coming out, you could be like, anytime you had a surreal experience, you could be like, this is like the Truman Show. Someone's watching us, aren't they?
Hmm.
And everyone would know what you meant. It made 260 million off of a 60 million budget, and um, does anything? I always do this. I always talk about like, oh, does this still happen anymore? But like, does any non-action and Marvel type superhero thing make 260 million now? I don't know. I mean, maybe they
I
do, but
think so, just because like the only movies that get made now are ones that make that much money. But yeah, definitely like kind of like a heady drama does not typically make that much money.
well, and this is a it's 140-minute or so. I mean, it's basically a 90-minute drama, kind of drama, uh, comedy thing. Like I don't know. I just
It's
don't.
not comedy other than the fact that they got
Jim
Jim
Carrey.
Carrey in it, who was pretty heavily seated in comedy at the time. Well, we're here today at the Granite Mountain Movie Club to talk about the Truman Show. So I was gonna ask Greg, could you like take 30 seconds and tell us what the plot is
What the plot is? Okay. Um,
Uh, for the Zoomers who haven't seen it, right?
so just ruin it.
And probably won't watch it.
So I'll go. So he's just a guy. He's a pretty normal, kind of bland type guy, but everyone pays attention to him because everyone in the town is an actor except him, and they just make him be. They make him live kind of like a normal life, so all the people relate to him, so they'll buy the products on the TV show. He eventually realizes something's not right, and then he has a mental breakdown, and it's really funny. He like screws up things and acts really nuts, and then he goes down into his basement. He climbs out of a cave. He goes to the sea, and then he uh he reaches the end of the dome, and he breaks through, and then he says goodbye to everyone, and he leaves. So that's the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is the movie.
I'm, I'm imagining though if that was the first description I heard, because you say he gets to the edge of the dome, but I don't think we really established that
We
he was
didn't
in a dome.
introduce the dome.
I,
Here,
I,
I'll do
I
my
didn't.
my plot.
Anyway, he's in a dome.
Yeah, like, well, rewatching it, what was interesting is kind of how they introduced the concept, because I believe they like spoiled it in like, other than you don't technically know what he decides in the end, right? But they kind of spoiled it in the advertising, and right up front they do like an interview with like the creator, and then the wife actor and the best friend actor, and they don't really explain everything about the Truman Show, but that comes in like almost like halfway through the movie when he starts noticing things are off. Then they kind of say, "Hey, we're in this dome, and we have been filming this since he was born, and it's a reality show that everybody in America watches, and they have been following his life every single second of his life, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't fully come out until like halfway through the movie, which I thought was interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, so I meant to say this before, but we've had, the people at home are hearing now is an edited version because we had a bunch of technical difficulties. But what I meant to say earlier is like my first experience with this movie. I went to see it when it was still in theaters, and I think it was like one of those dollar theaters, so it was $1. But that means it had been out for like 3 or 4 months at that point. But this like old lady from my neighborhood, we had like helped her like clean her garage or something like that, and she was very she's like kind of a fun old lady, like kind of a neighborhood grandma. So she took us to go see it, me and some other kids. And I remember towards the end, she was like crying and cheering. She cheered at the end of the movie. um and so that was like my experience with it. But I remember thinking it was pretty cool, even as like a pretty young kid. I guess I wasn't that young, but young enough. So it was one of the first like, I guess, drama movies that I would have seen and like really got it.
And do you think it's because as kids we loved Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, so we were like, this is gonna be awesome?
Yeah, probably. We were so primed on Jim Carrey. He was like the big guy at that point.
Yeah.
He was. What I read about this is he was getting 20 million per movie before this, but then he liked this, so he was willing to take only 12. Very
Whoa.
gracious of him.
Yeah.
To take just $12 million.
Nice guy.
Are you pro Jim Carrey, Greg?
I kind of relate to Jim Carrey. Like, for some reason, I think all my Truman Show Googling and stuff on like Instagram, I'm keep getting these Jim Carrey clips, and they're really confusing. Like, he's talking about Jesus now, and he was talking about. I saw a clip yesterday. He was talking about how Jim Carrey was like a character that everyone else wanted him to be, but it didn't. It's not like who he really is. And I feel like I feel like that sometimes, but like I also don't really buy it. Like Jim Carrey, like now you're old, you don't want to be silly guy, but like that is part of who you are, right?
Right, but he also played Andy Kaufman, right? And like went on to do more like dramatic roles
Yeah.
where it's like, he used to talk out of his butt, but then he was kind of like I'm not just the guy who talks out of his butt, I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
now he's kind of like a cringe artist.
Mhm.
He does like paintings of Trump or something. He has Trump derangement or whatever. Greg, when you said he's talking about Jesus, is he like a believer now, or is he just
Well,
saying
like
like
he was saying, like you gotta access the grace that's through Jesus to overcome hard things. Like it was an interesting clip. I don't know all of his theology. I saw him recently in Sonic and Sonic 2. I thought he did great in that.
thought you meant the Sonic restaurant?
Yeah, I was like, what?
No, he's not doing Sonic commercials.
Maybe he was there for
He's the
Sundance.
villain in the Sonic
He was
movies.
getting a lime Ricky at Sonic.
I bet he was at the Sonic in South Willard.
Maybe.
Yeah, so speaking of Jim Carrey and kind of this moment in time, was this the first serious Jim Carrey movie, or did something else
I
precede
think
it?
it was. I'm gonna pull it up, but I think this was his
And this
big,
wasn't
like,
billed as like fully serious. It was still like, watch him act crazy.
yeah, he's doing a lot of Jim Carrey stuff. Yeah.
But also what's weird about this movie is because like the basic reading of it is like, oh, this is a critique of reality television, right? But this was before reality television. I mean, there was like Real World and maybe a couple other shows, but like reality television wasn't really a thing outside of that. Like most people were still doing scripted dramas and stuff like that on TV and sitcoms.
Yeah, like a critique of media environment more generally, because yeah, there
Right.
wasn't
But then
actual.
like, then comes like the 2000s when literally like they were like, we're going to do the Truman Show for real, right? We're just going
Mhm.
to show people and film them and see what happens. And
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like I think it was like Survivor or something came out a year after the.
yeah,
So
yes.
I was just looking at this. The leading up to this, he did Liar Liar. I'm going backwards.
Uh-huh.
Liar Liar, The Cable Guy, Ace Ventura 2,
Yeah.
Batman Forever, Dumb and Dumber, The Mask.
So he was firmly in comedy.
Yeah, he'd done like 6 big
Because
hit
after this,
comedies.
when did the Andy Kaufman movie come out? And then he also did Eternal
That was the
Sunshine.
year after.
Yeah.
So then he did Truman Show, Man on the Moon, which is the Kaufman one. But then back to like comedy with Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yeah. I'm thinking like people think it's like about reality TV. I think it's more just about life in general, like everyone's experience. But it gets overshadowed with how everyone started getting all those reality TV shows.
Well, so that's my other surface level reading is kind of like, oh, it's a critique of like suburbia and maybe Christianity in the sense that the guy in the sky is just a fake guy, who's forcing you to act a certain way. What do you think about that reading, Greg?
I think it's kind of basic, like surface. I don't really buy into it. Um, like because
Well, they
his
even
name's
named the guy Christoph.
yeah, like it's kind of like poking fun at Christ, maybe, but maybe it is like maybe it's not supposed to be like derogatory, like Christ, God. We get given all these trials that really stink. Um, so maybe it's not like supposed to be super sarcastic. I don't know.
Greg, how was your day? How was your day today? I think we got mellow Greg.
Oh, you got Mellow Greg?
We got Diet Greg.
Oh,
We got Diet Greg on the show tonight.
oh, sorry. This day pretty good. I rode my bike, went swimming. I'm on vacation, so. But
Oh, that's the problem. You need to be agitated.
agitated.
You need to have been stuck in traffic. You need to have been called a slur by one of your customers.
Well, you guys can agitate me if you want. Let's go for it.
Well, we'll agitate you plenty, but
Okay.
but yeah, that's I kind of wanted to ask because you're always finding the secret gospel message in all media,
So you want me to go
like
into it?
I think this. Well, I'm just saying. I mean, we're on a podcast,
Okay.
but the surface level reading could be seen as kind of like they were doing a lot of that drama in like the '90s with like Pleasantville and what the one with that rapist and the rose flowers that fall Kevin Spacey.
Oh yeah, American Beauty.
American Beauty, where it's like, oh, everything seems fine on the surface of your perfect 1950s home, but it's actually actually bad. And that's kind of like the surface, like you said, I think that's like the surface level reading of this is it's like marrying your high school sweetheart and living in a home and not going from your lame hometown is like a lame life, right? That's kind of
Yeah.
like the message, I guess, if you didn't think deeply about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I was like since that might be the obvious reading, I was wondering why you find this so interesting or you relate to this so much when you're always saying, finding the secret Christian message in all
Yeah.
songs and media, including Green Day.
And
Green Day.
Vampire Weekend.
No,
And
not
Vampire
Green Day.
Weekend.
Not Green Day. No. So Like
Green Day isn't, or not Green Day.
Day's
What is it? All Stars.
Smash
Sorry,
Mouth. Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth.
Yeah.
I got my '90s rock groups mixed up.
Yeah, you did. I'd never. There's nothing good in Green Day. What are you talking about? Smash Mouth. Smash Mouth is the. So like
That sounds like a challenge.
the gospel message like I see in the movie is so like Truman. It's also he's like called a true man. Like he's in this fake world where everything's fake around him, but he's like trying to become a man and like figure out the world. And I feel like that's all of us. We're like put into this fake world where there's lies like everywhere. And I like the scene where he goes down the stairs into his basement and then he crawls out of it like a cave he's made, pumps his head out of the ground. And I think that's kind of like Plato's allegory of the cave. Like he was like he was watching shadows. Like his whole entire life was like shadows because it was all fake. It was just a TV screen. Like he was experiencing TV in real life. You know what? Does that make any sense?
Hmm.
And then
Yeah, or maybe Sea Haven is the Garden of Eden, and at the end he leaves the safety of the Garden of Eden
Yeah,
to
and then-
experience
and then he-
reality.
and then he goes into water. He gets cleaned. He gets this storm thrown at
Baptism.
him. Yeah, kind of like baptism. He gets a storm thrown at him. His boat then hits the dome, pierces a hole through it, and then he just walks through water up a flight of stairs, which we can get into the Masonic conspiracy theory stuff if you want. But
Yeah, do it. How many steps were there?
I haven't counted the steps. But to finish my point,
33
so
steps.
the closing scene, he's on these steps. You know, he knows the door is there. He tells everyone good afternoon. In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Like an average, just angry little guy. Like if you put him through that situation where his entire reality is fake, all these people have done him wrong, and then at the very end of the movie, he's willing to give grace and forgive everyone who's manipulated him. Like he didn't just like flip everyone the
And
bird.
he bows at the end.
And he
almost
bows.
like he is performing.
And he bows and he gives like respect to everyone who's ever wronged him. And I feel like that's like the most charitable you could have like that is like the ideal. When I go out of this world, like I want to have that much charity for everyone that's wronged me. Like, am I making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because like before he even leaves the dome, before he even pulls that exit switch and leaves, like he's already free, and you know he's already free even before he leaves the dome.
Right, and he kind of freaks out on the wife a little bit, but he's never like angry. He's very like he's more like scared or confused than angry ever.
But like the wife thing, I also kind of like relate to, because like I'm in chill Greg mode right now, but like there's women that will just like date men that they don't even like just because of some like status thing. Does this make sense? And it's like
Yeah.
Mhm.
his first wife was just with him because of the attention she got, because of her being with him. And like when he was freaking out, he's like, "You don't even like me." Like, and I dated girls before, and it kind of related. I kind of related to that. And then this new girl, she's only with him because of how he acts on TV and like his personality. Like she's only there because she's entertained by him, but that's not necessarily bad, I think. Like you have to.
Well, we can. I would kind of. I mean, we don't. I mean, presumably, right? He goes off and like marries that other girl. I forgot her name. But maybe not. Right? Maybe.
I feel like a common theme on this podcast is how much we hate the wives.
This is a misogyny podcast.
Yeah.
This is a boys club. This is a
But you're supposed to hate this wife.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up though, because she rewatching this as an adult, that sticks out a lot. It's like,
Mhm.
whoa, there's this lady. She wants to have a baby. Like she wants
Because
to have a
she's been cast to do it.
yeah. Like and I mean maybe that's not too far off from how certain things have worked in real life. Maybe like someone who marries into like a royal family or something basically sees it as a job, and not like a real like romance thing or whatever. But that struck me watching it as an adult. Like she doesn't like him. She finds him kind of just goofy and annoying, and then but is also her job is to like get him to give her a baby.
Right, and like even when they do the flashback to show him where he's actually liking the other girl, like, and that's a much more natural relationship where they kind of just catch eyes and have butterflies or whatever, whereas she's like laying it on thick, like trying to make sure you have to fall in love with me because it's in the script.
Which I'm gonna like there's this thing, this is a dumb kind of critique. This is like the people who in the movie Signs, where they critique the whole like, well, why would the aliens come here if it's a water planet? Well, this is kind of a same type of critique. This I bring this up more just for fun, but it's like it's kind of weird how they would make this fake world for Truman, but then let him know about all these other things. Like why does he even know about Fiji? Or why
Right.
does he even know that like leaving is a possibility? Because if you had someone for their whole life and you just said, "Oh, this is the world," like we have an island and that's the world, like he wouldn't know any better.
Well, like I think
Right.
the people in Fiji need to relate to him, so when he like learns about Fiji, they get really excited. Like it's about the audience.
Yeah, it's an audience thing. The audience wants to see something that resembles their world.
Yeah.
And also I was thinking about it. He's supposed to be 30 in the movie, and it's in 98. So like would have started in 68, which I feel like would have been a lot more primitive of technology to do all that. But
When he
unless it
was a
takes
kid,
place
though,
in
it
the
was
near
really easy
future.
because he's just a dumb kid. Like,
Right, and they like had cameras dangling in front of him and stuff. So maybe
yeah.
that's how like they didn't make precautions early on because they were just like, he's a dumb kid. But they kind of do show how they kind of brainwash him early on as a kid, where they're like, you don't need to explore because everything's been done, and like you don't need to go anywhere, and there's crime everywhere else.
Yeah.
In preparation for this, I saw a YouTube video that said, "Why are there no African American people in Truman Show?" But then I was thinking about it. There's several.
Any with
But
like speaking lines, I don't remember.
someone was trying to make the
There's
bus
just not
driver,
enough.
and then there's like a cop.
Yeah. Okay.
But they were trying to say like, oh, this is like Christoph was a racist, and he thought that the perfect world excluded black people. But then I'm like, there's like old dudes speaking Spanish. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a real town. Obvious. I mean, maybe that's obvious. Maybe it's not. But it's a planned community in Florida. And I
Is
think
it
it's Sea
really?
Haven in the movie, but it's like seaside in real life.
Ah, interesting.
And it's probably in real life. It probably is like all white.
With a few Cuban men.
Yeah.
The other religious reading of this is kind of a Calvinist, is there freedom of choice in if there's like an all-seeing eye or a all-knowing being, right? And I would say
Yeah.
this comes out firmly anti-Calvinist, saying like, oh, Truman does have free will despite um, kind of being living in a curated thing. What do you think about that, Greg?
Oh, I agree. Yeah. Those Calvinists, they don't make any sense. So I'm not a fan.
Do you have free will?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Oh, you're not a fan of Calvinists or free will?
Calvinist.
Calvinists. I like my free will.
I don't think the movie in general is a critique on Christianity or anything. I see it as like they're showing like Kristoff as like as a wannabe god, like he wants to play the role of God, um, but that's like not something people should do.
Well, he fails at it too.
Right.
So
But isn't the idea that, like, if Truman really wanted reality, we couldn't stop him from perceiving it, right? And so that, in a way, that's a commentary on us of, like, we're trapped in our reality or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's definitely, like, out there in the ether.
Something. Let's see. Oh, I'm gonna go back to that stupid point I was making a minute ago, but I do find it. I get that for the purpose of the actual Truman Show, that the audience, that the in movie audience would be watching, and then the movie that we would be watching, it has to like resemble our world. Or at least they thought it did. I just find it weird that they like make him go to an office and they make him do some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that wouldn't make great TV.
I wouldn't think so. Yeah, or they could give him like really zany challenges in his life. That would,
Well,
I
he could
mean,
have been like a postman, so he's like walking around and
more movement, or even just like give him crimes to solve.
yeah.
I think that would I'm on a carpet cleaning Facebook page, and I attempted to be a carpet cleaner. I decided not to, but I'm still on this Facebook page, and they're like, I have a point here. So one of the guys is like, I am gonna hire a tech. Do you think I should just split 20% of all profits with him instead of giving him an hourly paycheck? And these guys in the comments were like, if you give him 20%, he's going to work really hard and he's going to have enough money to start his own carpet cleaning business within 6 months. That's a horrible idea. You need to pay him by hour. And like, it was like, you need to pay him by hour so he's less productive, and um, he's just kind of stuck. And like, this is how these business owners were talking. So like, your question of why did they make him just do a dumb job that didn't use his brain power at all? Well, like, I think that's so he's stuck in his spot, because if he's out being creative and like using his brain, then he's going to be a lot more difficult to control than if he's just like stuck in a job and he's worried about all this money he has to make. And it was like his MK Ultra handler, his wife was like, you have a mortgage to pay, you have this to pay, and we want to be like, it was all this like, it's these stressors. He was purposely given all these stressors so that he would stay in line.
yeah.
I think.
They put him in the longhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think it's in the same vein as like Fight Club and Matrix, where it's kind of like, are you satisfied with your wagey job? It's definitely
this
kind
was
of like anti-wagey. I think there is a reactionary, right wing reading to this.
this was a big thing in the end of the 90s. This like idea that reality is not reality. You need to do something radical.
Well, and to a certain extent, I feel like it's being even more fulfilled nowadays, right? Like society is really kind of crumbling, where like, the right wing reading is like, an incel can't even get married. Like, young men and women can't even get married now. They can't get a good job. They can't buy a house, and they're still expected to be like satisfied with their lives. Whereas, in the Truman Show, he has a wife, he has a job, he has a house, and he was still dissatisfied. But now, like, even those comforts are like unattainable, but you're still expected to like play ball and not rile things up and not speed around in your
Yeah.
Ford Taurus around town.
This reminds me of there's this Bruce Springsteen song. I think it's called The River. And he said in the song, he's talking about, he's like, when I turned 18, they took me down, like my dad took me down to the union office and I got a union card and I got a job like right out of high school. And then I married my high school sweetheart and it just, everything sucks. I got a house and everything sucks. And it's
Sounds
like,
awesome.
wait a minute. Yeah, the sad songs of like Bruce Springsteen of the 70s and 80s or whatever is what like the guys I know are dreaming of.
Yeah, it's definitely like very boomer-esque in its trappings.
Trapped in affluence.
Well, yeah, and also like just the fact that it's a TV show, whereas now what's the Truman Show is like TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, right? And that's kind of the reality media where we are literally under constant surveillance and stuff, right? Like we're literally living in the Truman Show now. But like, yeah, in the 90s, it was still very like boomer culture where, everybody had a TV, everybody was watching TV multiple hours a day. Like, whereas like nobody watches TV now, they just stream things on their phone.
One thing I thought was really interesting is the undoing of reality for him is all these technical failures. Like a light falls from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
The radio in the car is like playing. He can tell that people are surveilling him.
Yeah.
And there's like
which
a
is
couple
very
other...
Cold War boomer as well. Like, so, there's my line has been tapped.
Like,
yeah, there's a couple. The rain on the beach, like it's following him specifically. I just think it's kind of like us too. It's like it's in the technical stuff that we start to see. Like we see we're being watched, or we see that some things are fake. Like they're spackling over like critical infrastructure and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think like the last 3 years seems to be like people have really started to question what is going on in like reality and like Kanye's,
And they're less and less satisfied with reality too.
Yeah, Kanye's like recent thing last fall, it reminded me exactly of like Truman's breakdown when everything was like glitching out and he was freaking out on everyone. Like people are just kind of like their psyches are kind of like snapping because a lot of things in the government and reality, it just doesn't make sense anymore.
Are you saying this movie is talking about how the media is controlling everything?
Kinda.
There's an elite group.
I don't know.
I don't know about any of that stuff.
I don't know about that stuff. I just fix bikes.
Yeah, Greg's a humble bicycle repairman. Did you already plugged your business, right? Today's episode is brought to you by Swift Fix Bikes of Pleasant View, Utah.
Yeah.
Here, I've got the ad to play if you want me to play the ad.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's hear the ad.
Oh, man, my bike tire's flat. What am I going to do? Well, Johnny, you're going to have to take that bike into a bike store. Oh, man, if only there was a way somebody could have a mobile bike repair shop with a cool van that's blue, and they could drive it right to my door. And then Greg rolls in on his bike and does like a turn skid out and is like, "That's right, I'm Swift Fix Bike Repair Greg, and I'm here to fix your bike." And then there's some more to that, but that's the ad.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Greg graciously sponsored today's episode. Yeah. He's paying for a cool Frasier's time.
Yep. Glad to do it.
Do you guys know anything about gangstalking?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too. I was going to ask if Greg has ever been gangstalked.
Greg, are you a targeted individual?
I think I might be, but maybe not. I don't know.
Do you know about this, right?
Yeah, targeted individuals. They're like, did you know in communist Russia, like right when the communists were changing Russia, like 10%, and it was secret, 10% of the Russians, they were keeping notes and tabs on what all their neighbors were doing and like reporting it in. So I think it would be kind of silly to think that there wasn't people doing that today, like in America. Like, right? Wouldn't, I mean, if it's happened.
But like, have you ever felt like you've been watched or something?
Well, I feel like maybe, but it's not like bad. It's just like when you go, it's not like threatening. It's just like people, their job is to keep tabs on people. and then they get paid by the government or
Do
whatever.
you think?
Like, give me an instance of one time you thought maybe that guy's keeping tabs on me.
I don't want to do that, because then it would cost them their job. They'd be like, so Greg went on this podcast and ratted you out. You're a bad surveiller. I don't want to put these people out of their job.
You don't want your gang stalker to lose his job.
No.
His lucrative position stalking you.
Yeah, they're just trying to do their job.
You don't want to review bomb the gang stalker.
Yeah, it's like
this gang stalker barely kept tabs on me. I got away from him in the grocery store so fast.
No, that's
Greg
not...
has gang stalkers, but they just care about his well-being.
No, I just think they're like just people, like, you know, like you go.
Yeah.
What's it, like, private shopping? What's that thing when like people go and they're like secret shoppers at stores? So I think there might be like secret shoppers, but for like people. So the government, like, this guy, he kind of said something weird on the internet. Why don't you just like run into him and talk to him and see what he's about? And then you're like, oh hey, and then it's fine. So like, it's fine. I don't mind it.
No big deal. I watched a video recently of someone who was like, I'm being gang stalked, but the only evidence he provided was like cars that would like drive near him or like park right near his car when he parked.
I mean, that just doesn't make.
And like somebody who would walk into the door before him. So like gang stalking was just like these people mildly inconveniencing him or slowing him down.
I watched one on YouTube. A guy was sitting in his car with like his dash cam or just his phone filming, everything. And I only watched a couple minutes, but he basically just says like everyone who's walking by, he's like, oh, that one. I keep seeing that guy. I've seen him everywhere. And I noticed that the video was like 4 hours long. And that I was thinking gang stalking is just some sort of YouTube hack. Like he's just trying to rack up view hours so he can get paid.
Yeah.
And all the gang stalker people just will watch that whole 4 hour video.
Yeah, there's a whole community of people who believe it.
Well, have you heard of like the Gates program conspiracy theories?
No, what's that?
What's that? And the speech pathology conspiracy theories? Like, so like people have memories of like drinking, and I swear I have this memory of being in a speech pathologist, and they're like, drink this, and it was like, those like dentist cups, and it was like white, and they're like, drink this, and I'm like, what? Okay. And like, so there's this, so I guess I'll start with Gates. So like there's this conspiracy theory that like the CIA or like the federal government spy agencies have like funded the Gates programs, gifted and talented programs at schools.
Oh, not like Bill and Melinda Gates.
No, gifted.
That's what I was thinking.
But like the gifted and talented. Okay.
Okay, so like, just think like, if you, so I'm not a Gates. I'm a speech pathologist. I'm not a Gates program guy, but like, just think about this gifted and talented program. Like, what did they do to these people that were really smart? Like, they said they picked them out of their classroom and they said, you're so smart. One day a week, you're going to have to go with the smart people. And then like, what does that do to that kid? Like, we live in a peer bonded society, and it's kind of like Truman Show. And then you remove him once a week and you throw him in with all the other smart people. They didn't really learn anything more than they did in their other class. Like, it's just like so you remove this student from all the other students that he's peer bonded to, and then you classify him as smarter than everyone else, and you've basically just isolated that person. So I'm going on a tangent here, but like,
Keep going.
like all these really smart people, like Evan McMullen, like he's an idiot, but he's like really smart. They're like, their drive is to be socially accepted by all those people who kind of, once they got identified as gifted and talented, they just decided they didn't like them anymore. Like they're always, all these geniuses, all these smart people in society, they're always just trying to get back in with the in group because they were removed from their peers.
Do you think they were? Yeah, were they giving the Gates kids the white juice?
Yeah, is the white juice part of that or the other thing?
Okay, so they were drugging there's some weird stories of them like drugging people in Gates programs and speech pathologist programs. And I'll just talk about my personal experience. So like I'm a weirdo, and like I'm in Utah, and I had to move around a lot because my dad was a metallurgical engineer and he kept getting laid off because the EPA would ship out the manufacturing to Chinese aluminum plants. Um, anyway, so
Yeah, because Bill Clinton. You can say the name
yeah,
Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton made it so it's impossible to make process aluminum in the U.S. So they just moved them to China and polluted 100 times more. Um, anyway, so I had to move around a lot. So I'm in Utah, and they're like, "You're an idiot in reading, so you need to go to the reading cluster." And then I moved to Texas, and they test me, and I do this accelerated reader test, and they're like, "You can read at 12th grade plus, so you're a college level reader." And I was in like third grade, and I was like, "What the heck?" Like last year, they said I was dumb in reading.
So were you getting the juice?
So this was after I didn't get the juice then. So I'm going around. So in Louisiana, before I moved to Texas, when I was in first grade, I went to a speech pathologist.
Is the juice good or bad?
I think the juice is bad. So like I went to see this.
Okay.
I went to see the speech pathologist in Louisiana, and they it's just like her and me, and I just play with
Yeah.
things. I play with cards. I like they have me look at pictures on cards, and I'm like, this isn't really speech. What am I doing here? And then like one time they're like, drink
So
this.
you were doing like Rorschach tests and stuff?
Yes. And then they're like, drink this liquid. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then finally they talk to my parents, and they're like, yeah, he's good with speech. He doesn't need to go see a speech pathologist anymore. And they're like, okay. And then the next year I transfer to Murray School District, and I'm in second grade or first grade still, I can't remember. But they had me go see this like this short like old guy. They had me go to speech pathology at the Murray thing. And I was talking to my mom like a month ago, and I was telling her about these conspiracy theories that they like are messing with like gifted and talented and kind of weird kids like me. And she's like, I wasn't well, my mom was like, "I don't you we never got told you were going to speech pathology in uh in Murray." So like they just had me going to see this guy one on one, and they didn't tell my parents about it. And then like in
Well, you got lucky because the current day version of not telling your parents is that they're going to talk to you about like having your privates removed.
Yeah. And then also the weird thing is yeah, in Texas after I got college aged, I did the accelerator reader test, and they tested me, and then they're like, "Okay, we're going to do more tests." And I swear I was doing tests like every week with some lady, and they're like, "Put this on your books." And I'm like, at this point I didn't have that many friends. I was reading like 3 books a week. I all I did was just read my books and watch Nickelodeon. That's like all I did every day. So like I was really confused on why they said I needed to put this clear purple piece of plastic over is like put it over the words on the books you're reading, and then it'll help you concentrate better. But like looking back, it was just a way to differentiate me from my classmates, so my classmates would think I'm weird.
They were trying to make you gay.
I think so. Like
They were isolating him.
they're isolating me, and it's the same thing they do with Gates people, people in the gifted and talented programs. It wasn't. It's just about isolating you from your
question.
peers, so you don't strive for the greatness. You don't strive to get on that boat and smash into the dome.
Right, you're too close to the edge, so they're putting obstacles in your way so you don't realize the truth.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of like having your dad pretend to die in the ocean.
Yes. No, I'm serious, and they do it to a lot of people.
My question is, So like you were in these like uh special needs situations, and you apparently didn't need it. Is I know your parents are somewhat involved in like special needs stuff. Were they involved with it back then? And
No,
so were they just like, let's get this guy tested just in case?
no, they weren't at all. That was that happened
So they got
later.
involved because you were special needs.
No, no, my mom got a job with the state, and then Governor
Okay.
Huntsman, when I was in middle school, privatized social work, so that's how they got into it. So it was a bit after, but
Okay.
it wasn't
Well,
like a
here's a
Munchausen syndrome type thing. No.
here, Greg. I have some. I have something for you. In the past, we had joked about the character Marlon. You know, his
Yeah,
friend. I think his name's Marlon, right?
Or
yeah.
that's the wife's name, I think.
No, her name's Meryl.
Okay.
I think, but that's like a guy name, so I don't know. And Marlin is a fish name, but whatever.
Yeah,
So
Marlon.
his friend is Marlin, and we had joked in the past that I was like your Marlin. Sometimes when you'd be, uh, going through it, I would come in and be like, Greg, you want a 6-pack? You want to talk about it? And I'm wondering, when I was watching this, it's like Marlin was the stand-in for like the mass media who just like always shows up when you need it to give you a nudge in the right or wrong direction.
Yeah, like one time I was ranting about Mitt Romney being like a pedophile or something, and you're like, he's not. Like you really like he's not. And I was like, you're Marloing me. You're just trying to bring me back down to reality. But which is
Is he a
helpful.
pedophile?
I don't think so. I think he's fine. I've
Don't say one or the other.
I've mellowed out a bit.
I have a question about this movie.
Yeah.
Is this the first Paul Giamatti, or was he big before this?
I think it's pretty early Paul Giamatti. I'm sure he did stuff before it, but
I feel like I kind of want to ask Greg about the other movie we were supposed to do with him.
oh yeah, did you get into it? Yeah, it's the same
No,
writer, right?
is it
Yeah,
What was the other one?
Gattaca?
Yeah, same guy wrote them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah. So he wrote these
Yeah.
two movies.
Because there's not a Gattaca brother in this.
No. There's
The script was originally meant to be more of a sci-fi thriller. So like Gattaca. Gattaca was a sci-fi thriller.
Like a little more sci-fi in how the cameras and the town worked. Yeah,
It
that
was
makes sense.
supposed to be more serious originally, and then they went through a series of directors. It was originally going to be De Palma, who's he's a more serious kind of guy.
Yeah.
He did like Scarface, and he fell off for some reason. And then they went through a couple of different people. I think Spielberg was up for it at one point, and then they settled on Peter Weir, and he wanted a script that was funnier. He wanted it to be a little more light.
He wanted more like butt talking.
Yeah, and he's the one who he wanted Carrie.
Got it. What else has Peter Weir done?
like nothing.
Master and Commander.
Okay.
The writer of this movie
I
hasn't
just
done
looked at the Paul
anything.
Giamatti thing. He hadn't done like a ton before this. Weir did Master and Commander,
Then he kind of stopped.
Dead Poet Society, The Way Back. I don't know if you
was his
saw that.
last thing.
It was all right.
No, I didn't. That's interesting. But yeah, because this is kind of about like breaking through where you like the cards you were dealt at birth, right? Is that a theme of this?
Yeah, sure. I think so.
Once again, the reactionary reading of this movie is that we should all revolt against society, right?
I don't see how you watch this and don't see that there's a message here that you should be like questioning official narratives.
Right. Like, I think it would have been better if it was a little more sci-fi or a little more grandiose than just kind of like, hey, this is a Florida town and we did a kind of a half a job on this like CGI dome situation. Like the last the last scene where he crashes his boat into the wall and he's like walking along it, that's like a nice cinematic scene. But I feel like other than that, it's not super cinematic. The score's okay. Are you back, Greg? Yeah, you're back.
He's back.
But yeah, I was just saying, as a movie, like I feel like if it was a little more artsy, I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think
They've
some of
got
it.
kind of this weird, like they do like the button camera effect a lot, but
Yeah,
it kind of makes it seem a little dated, I feel like, but I don't know.
it's probably seemed pretty clever at the time, but now it looks like To Catch a Predator or something.
Yeah.
Which I have a question in regards to Catch a Predator. What if they invested all these years in Truman, but he turned out really depraved and was like just this like evil or disgusting guy? That would have been interesting.
That would be a good revisit. Truman Show 2
Yeah.
as a horror movie.
Or the producers had to hide it. They knew it was going on, but they had to hide it. So they just took that off camera.
And he's just like killing extra like women,
Yeah.
like totally just like Jack the Ripper style, and like he can't get in trouble because he's the main guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look, I can do whatever I want, and nobody says anything."
So like it's a in a 90s movie, they're going to give him so they actively like psychologically groomed him or whatever or manipulated
abused.
him. Yeah, so they made him scared of water. But if they made this movie today, is there any doubt that they would like find a way to ensure that he was gay?
We're doing a gay plot.
Yeah. We need to make sure Truman is gay.
Come on, Truman, touch it. I brought a six pack. Just touch it.
I wonder what they would do. How would they make him gay?
Is it really good for marketing to do that? Like I went to the mall and I was looking at all the models and like the pictures and everything, and there's still not LGBT representation on like perfume marketing materials. It's always a couple, like male and female. So I don't know if that would be.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that would be good marketing to just. Is the majority of people are still straight, you know. So if you want someone to identify with, I don't even watch TV now, so I don't know how gay representation is on.
Well,
TV.
my one take is the show Wednesday, which is like the most recent popular show on Netflix, is unapologetically heterosexual, and it did very well among the young teens. So yeah, I don't know if it's selling as much as they would hope. So what's our Truman Show? Like, what's keeping us trapped?
Oh, it's got to be, it's got to be debt and the global financial system.
Global financial system,
Yeah.
media, the legal system.
Yeah.
Man, all these things totally unrelated, but
Cops.
keeping us down. Cops, yeah.
How are the cops keeping you down, Greg? Oh, actually, don't get into that.
Okay.
I was gonna ask Greg what he thought about them stealing a baby and raising it on camera, like foster care style.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's they stole a baby. Like the ethics of what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't very ethical of them to just take that baby. Yeah, a lot of people like to just take babies now. It's like they're like I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's all right.
Don't steal babies.
Oh, so I found a random YouTube channel, so like shout out to this YouTube channel. I think the name of it is like just Moon, but he did a Truman Show breakdown, and he compared it to he talked about like the crazy stuff that the cast would do to try to keep him from getting places, right? So like they'd all park their cars in front of him, or like push stuff in front of him, or like a group
Yeah.
of wheelchair people would come out, or like they acted like there was a nuclear meltdown. Anyway, he compared that to almost like the false flags and media events that get a lot of attention, and he didn't say it, and maybe I shouldn't, but he showed clips from like January 6th and stuff, how he's
Yeah.
like, these are like opportunities the media takes to like retain control when people start getting like upset about things. And he showed also like Antifa riots and stuff like that, so I don't think it's necessarily like one-sided, but like, yeah, I was like, oh, this is kind of like a based YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'll go subscribe.
Yeah, he has a
send me the
Twitter.
link and I'll put it in the bio, in the description.
So I got a message. So there's this Freemason from Utah, and he has an Instagram, and he's posting about Freemasonry. So I had this conspiracy theory that like the stairs down, and then like there's a lot of triangles in this movie, and like so I thought it was Freemasonic, like the director was a Freemason or something, and there's this Freemason like image of the winding stairs, and you don't know what's coming around the corner. Anyway, so I Instagrammed this guy who's a Freemason, and I gave my conspiracy theory rant to him, and he just replied back, "No, the Truman Show is not Freemasonic." So he shot down my conspiracy
You heard it here,
theory.
folks.
Yeah.
Didn't you share a theory with Owen Benjamin, and he like stole it?
He didn't steal it. I was telling him my Freemasonic theory and stuff, and he thought it was pretty interesting, and he started to do a live broadcast about this conspiracy theory I had, and then someone did too many emojis in his live stream chat. So he has a live stream chat, and someone was putting too many emojis in, and he had like a 10-minute freak out that he couldn't read the chat because there was too many emojis.
Well, you know what that is? That's Christoph in the booth.
Yeah.
He's like, send in the emoji guy. we
He's
gotta derail Owen.
So it derailed him. Yeah. He didn't bring up the Truman Show the rest of the stream. He was just really mad about all these emojis, and then he gave a really long lecture, and then like he screenshotted his emojis, and we're like, you see how big these emojis are for me? This is madness.
Okay, Owen Benjamin, come on Movie Club, and you can finish your Truman Show rant.
But he took it in a little bit different direction than I took it. He saw the number 36 over Truman's house. So Truman's house, we can talk about Truman's house, which is interesting. Truman's house, The number is 36, and he's like, 36, that's 333. That's the carbon, what's the carbon? Like, what's the three atoms, or
like
something?
The element, the symbol?
The element carbon.
Yeah.
So like Truman is in the natural world. That's 36. This is his house. And so he was really into that number 36 house. But you had something interesting about Truman's house.
Well, that house, and this is just from the Wikipedia. This is not esoteric knowledge, but that house that Truman lives in, presumably they did the interior and exterior shots at this house, but it's owned by the family of Congressman Matt Gaetz, Gaetz, yeah. His family owned that house.
So like he grew up in that house. So like
I think it's like a vacation or rental home, but yeah.
This is definitely Freemasonic.
So is the Freemason lying to me? He doesn't want the secrets out?
Yeah, what would his incentive be to tell the truth?
Yeah, isn't he in a secret
to make
society?
The Truman Show cool? I don't know.
No, I mean he doesn't want you to know the truth, so
Well, like there's- but like if you pause, so like after Truman leaves and Marlon is in his hole and he pops his head out and you can see that house's backyard. That is like the weirdest freaking backyard like ever. There's like red and black like pillar things, there's balls, there's like a floating terrace, there's a triangle at the top. Um it just doesn't, it looks very Freemasonic.
I don't know anything about the 36 thing, but was there any other
I think it's
Masonic?
3 6s is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, or like 666. Well, like the
Yeah, and that's
stairs,
carbon is 6.
there is a stair theme. So like like the temple in Jerusalem is gone, but the hole that there's a cave that was dug out from the marble to build Solomon's temple, and that cave is still around. And like even our church, the Salt Lake Temple, they have a cave that has a vault in it now, and I think they made the cave quite a bit bigger, and it has a bunch of historical records. But like Freemasons also use caves for their Freemasonic rites, and it's to symbolize like first before you build the temple, you have to excavate the cave, and like you go into the cave, and there's like a bunch of conspiracy YouTubers that break into Freemasonic caves because there's like a few of them around the country, and it's really creepy because there's like the Freemasonic sign on the cave, and they like, so like caves are part of Freemasons. So like in the movie, Truman goes down the stairs, he creates a cave, and the cave is kind of where he does his processes to and like thinks before he actually leaves and extend.
It's where he becomes a butterfly.
Yeah, so then he leaves the cave by if you see the ladder that he leaves to escape is set at an angle, which in Freemasonry means you do not know what's coming ahead. And then he goes out of the cave, and then he goes through the water, and then there's a long flight of stairs he takes to leave the dome. So like, why would there be stairs there? Like, what? There's. Why do you think there's stairs at the ending of the movie?
Well, from a practical point of view, I think they just want to have the door elevated from the water.
With like a ladder?
But
No, I think he's right. I think it's symbolic of he's kind of he's stepping into a higher plane of reality by escaping the false world up into the real world. I do think there's definitely like some conscious philosophical, Plato's cave and stuff like that.
Sweet. Yeah.
You know what they say about the Truman Show having Freemasonic symbolism?
What?
It's like trying to find hidden messages in a Justin Bieber song. Sure, you might find something if you squint hard enough, but in the end, you're just wasting your time.
Is that from Chat GPT?
Yeah.
You're doing your Chat GPT voice.
That's my Chat GPT voice.
Yeah. This is okay. I'm gonna power to the end, and we're gonna, we're just gonna go with what we have. Okay. Remember that guy? You know that guy Bryan Singer, who's like a director, but he like
And a
molested
rapist,
kids.
yeah.
He really wanted this job. I don't know if there's any significance to that, but there's not any kids in this movie, so I'm not sure who he'd be molesting.
Yeah. Put that as the tagline of the podcast. Not sure who he'd be molesting.
So someone's doing the molesting. And then Robin Williams was originally considered for the role of Truman, but Peter Weir wanted Jim Carrey.
I could see that.
Yeah, you'd probably have to get a different wife.
So I have a question. If they redid Truman Show today, who would be the Truman?
Jake Paul.
Chris Pratt.
Not just making up. Not Jake Paul. I don't know. Do we have funny actors now? They'd probably just do Pete
It'd be Chris
Davidson.
Pratt.
It would be Pete Davidson, and it would make $1.5 million.
Yeah. By the way, ChatGPT really doesn't want to make prompts related to Truman Show Masonic imagery.
Yeah, because they know.
I told it to do a funny joke about how the Truman Show is really about drinking secret white juice given to kids. And it says that it can't do it because it's spreading misinformation and conspiracy theories. I'm like, what are you talking about? What kind of conspiracy
See,
theory
there is
that?
something there. I'm not.
Yeah. No, you're right. They're censoring it. So
Yeah, Sam Altman at OpenAI, he knows.
They know.
Christoph was originally cast as Dennis Hopper.
I feel like they did a good job with this Christoph. I wouldn't change him.
So Ed Harris was this Christoph, and he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but Jim Carrey didn't get nominated for Best Actor. And it's like, I don't know that it's that impressive of a performance because it's just kind of like Jim Carrey doing Jim Carrey, but
Right.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's impressive for like a jokey guy.
I'm okay with that nomination. Ed Harris did good. Good job.
Oh
Ed
no, I'm
Harris.
okay with him getting the supporting role, but it's like it kind of seems like they should have just given Jim Carrey a.
Yeah, they probably should have, but once again, it was probably like too soon. Did he get it for Eternal Sunshine?
I think so.
Yeah, that's probably why. They always do that where it's like
Delayed, yeah.
delayed.
Here's something crazy. Speaking of Marlon, in deleted scenes, Marlon is shown to have a drug problem, dealing with the stress of lying to Truman all these years.
Do you have a drug problem,
Stress and
Granite?
guilt. What?
Do you have a drug
Oh yeah,
problem?
I have to medicate. I have to medicate just all the time I spend like soothing you. That's taxing. I have to take I don't know, what is a really cool drug right now?
Opioids.
Yeah, I have to
Those
take
are hot right now. Yeah, fentanyl.
Yeah, I'm doing fentanyl sandwiches.
Delicious.
The town of Seaside or Sea Haven has a fentanyl problem. That would be in the Pete Davidson one.
Yeah.
Have you ever? Or I think Greg told us with the white juice or something. But Granite, have you ever had a time where you were like, maybe I'm in the Truman Show?
Oh yeah, I mean, not like an experience, but that thought. I think has definitely occurred to me. Or like, oh, am I the only actual conscious person? Or like, have you ever been like? Here's this feeling I get all the time where I'm like driving, maybe in traffic, and I look around. I'm like, all these people think they have somewhere to go, but like, only I have somewhere to go. Like they could all just not go to their place and they would be fine, but I need to go to my place because I need to do what I need to do. Like I have that feeling sometimes. It's just kind of weird. Like, do all these people really need to be here? Like, this feels like fake. That's a weird feeling I have sometimes.
I'm really good at navigating through a crowd. Just getting people out of the way. Like I don't worry about politeness or any of that.
Because they are all NPCs.
They're all NPCs, yeah. Which this is predates NPC as a meme.
Yeah, I like how when Truman actually it reminds me of a video game because like when he follows his wife into the hospital and he wants to see if she really does nurse work, and there's all these like other nurses and stuff and hospital staff who like try and get in his way. And it reminded me of a video game, right? When you're like, I don't play video games, but when you're like your charisma score gets too low or something, and then townspeople just start bothering you or start crowding around you.
Yeah.
Or start attacking you for no reason. Like that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, like you don't have high enough like regency with the town, so they're like mean to you.
Yeah.
Should a Zoomer watch this movie?
Oh yeah, I think so. I didn't even really give my like review or whatever, but I think it's a very good movie. and it's
It's brisk.
especially yeah,
It's much quicker than I remember rewatching it. It was like, oh, we're already to this scene.
yeah, I think its official time is like an hour 41, but 10 minutes of that is like credits or something. So
Uh huh.
it's like a 90-minute movie. They get a lot done in 90 minutes. Like, and it's got a concept, right? It's like they're probably not the first people. There's probably like an old Twilight Zone that has the same concept, but there's a concept. They execute it. They tell like a full story. I think it's pretty good.
Well acted. You care about the characters. It's good.
Yep, some good music. Like 90s music. 90s, like mid-tier 90s movies often have like better music than the biggest movies now.
Yeah. I actually looked at the cast of this, and um, the guy playing the piano is actually Philip Glass.
Yeah, it was Philip Glass score. Oh, but he's the one in the booth
Yeah.
that's playing the piano.
Like when they show the guy like playing the piano, it's actually him.
Oh, that's funny.
Greg, are you there? And do you think that a Zoomer would like this movie and should watch it?
Yeah, I think Zoomers would like this movie. What do the Zoomers think?
Would Nim like it?
Would Nim like it? I think, but
Nim's not a real Zoomer.
he thinks a lot of things I think are cool are really lame. So if I'd bet, I think he might think it's lame. Just going with my gut.
Yeah, it is almost like a more accessible like Blade Runner, Matrix, that type of thing.
Yeah, I think an
Similar
introspective.
themes.
I think if a Zoomer had the patience to watch a 90-minute movie and they were like a little bit introspective,
Maybe
I think
if they were playing that like Subway Jumper game on the side screen, and
yeah, if they could watch Subway Surfer at the same time as the Truman Show,
yeah,
they
and like slime videos.
yeah, I think they could get something out of it. I think they would.
Yeah,
Because I mean, they should be able to, like the themes of like, digital control, manipulation.
Oh, can I say something?
Oh, absolutely.
This is kind of the theme of the podcast, but like I feel like people on our side sometimes are like, "Oh, that movie's not good because it had a liberal in it," and it's just like
Yeah.
such a surface level reading, and it's like you can get more out of something if you have the capability of actually kind of dissecting it and understanding it at a deeper level, in a media landscape. And even if it's like against your principles in general, like you could like this is what the queer theorists do, and like the critical race theory people do. They take old texts that belong to a certain culture in a certain point of time and reframe them in their media ecology to kind of serve their own narrative. And so
Yeah.
we should do that. And that's what we're doing. And so stop being so lame, people.
Yeah. Even though Jim Carrey has Trump derangement syndrome, I mean, apparently
Right.
he's found found Jesus, so that's good. I mean, good for Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Like it was like that I haven't seen it, but like someone did like a review of Shazam, and they're like, there wasn't too much woke stuff in it, but it was bad because it's liberals or something. And I'm like what are you doing? Like that's not how you watch movies.
Well, it's also not how artists. It's not how artists create either. Like a liberal can create good art. It's not like
No, yeah, like most artists have some sort of artistic integrity where they're trying to produce something of quality. Now there are artists like Green Day, Greg's favorite band, that will do things like American Idiot, where George W. Bush is an idiot, and like that's their message. But like most artists are trying to do something more than just that.
Yeah. And that is, like you said, that is basically the theme of the show, like of this podcast. That is like we can hope for ideologically aligned media to be created.
Like the Hunter Biden movie.
Yeah. We can hope for it, and maybe someday it'll come, but it's probably not. It's not going to. It's usually just. I guess what we can do now is just find the narratives in the things that are already existing, and I mean, it's not like we don't want to. We don't want to like pretend that something was said that wasn't said, but oftentimes a lot of these narratives and stories only work because they actually do reflect like our values and stuff. So, if you're going to look at the Truman Show and say like who in 2023 is the guy in the booth controlling things, like it's certainly and that we should be like questioning.
Mhm.
Like, well, it's not like Ronald Reagan up there.
Kanye West had an idea.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, and also even if like a piece of media like explicitly goes against your values, like there still may be a way to interpret that or read it in such a way that allows you to better understand culture and society at large as we are currently in like 2023 or whatever, right?
Yeah. True. I think we can wrap it up there unless there's anything else important. Greg, any final words? Any warnings for kids that are getting the white juice at school?
It's just don't drink it. It's like chalky, like chalk. It tastes like chalk, kind of.
Huh.
This is a good idea for a movie. The gifted and talented kids being taken out of class, given the white juice, and the white juice makes them like politically pliable in future generations.
Oh, I just think removing
Yeah, the
them
white juice
from
keeps them in line.
removing them from their peers makes them politically pliable. It's like, this is what all your peers want you to do, and it's like, oh, okay. And then you have Evan McMullen just doing nonsense. So
Yeah, he got white juice.
He got a lot of white juice as a kid.
He probably overdosed on white juice.
If you've made it this far in the podcast, hashtag white juice.
White juice. Thanks for joining, guys.
no problem.
Thanks for having us.
This was wild. We was obviously it took a lot to get this one out the door, and because powers that be, Christoph, didn't want it to happen.
Hello?
Do your ABCs.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
We're
H,
testing
I,
you.
J, K, L, M,
And
N,
I've got
O,
some
P,
white
Q,
liquid.
R, S, T, U, V. It's freaking condo crappy Wi-Fi.